Hello Vinyl community, Jonas here, back to do a recent Vinyl Finds video. And I know I said that I wouldn't do a video in 2 weeks, but had some stuff coming in the mail, had some luck on thrift stores and stuff like that. So I wanted to show you the things that I got. It's gonna be a little bit different this time. This time I'm gonna do some needle drops, but I'm gonna place those needle drops in a separate video. I hope I don't get, cut off in that video. But some of this music you have to listen to, and I don't want to ruin this one with it being too long. So if you're interested in needle drops, check out my next one. Playing in the background, not a new buy, but this is Herbie Hancock with Headhunters, a really good LP. I'm gonna start with Swedish stuff. I hope you dig this. Okay, I feel a little bit ashamed of showing this because this is a recommendation from Anders. Or he let me know about this, and I think he's gonna show it in one of his videos. So I won't talk so much about it because he knows a lot more about this than I do. The only thing I can say is highly recommended. Get it. This is Svenska Kaputt. That's actually the name of the LP. There's the guys there, and it looks like this. A beautiful brown. It's actually brown. It's not red. Brown vinyl. If you know about Dungen, the guitarist in Dungen is called Reine Fiske. He's on this one. He's playing the guitar, and you have some people from Fire Orchestra. This is a smooth, fusiony, progressive jazz record. Insane at times, beautiful at times. 250 copies. This is gonna sell out immediately. So if you want it, you have to get it now. Now, when I bought that record, I was in talk with the guy owning the label, Jonas Kullhammar, and he said to me, if you're buying that record, you can get any other of the vinyl for half price. So I ordered 2 more. This is the first one. Kullrusk with digital. This is Jonas Kullhammar and a bunch of other guys. I think they play with Fire Orchestra, but I'm not super sure. Limited to 525 copies. I have number 440. You can see that by yourself. I don't need to say it to you. And this is like electronic jazz in the same vein as Time is a Mountain that I showed you last time, and Goran Kaifes, as I showed you also. A little bit in the same vein. If you have problems getting your bass through in your setup, you need to listen to this one because this brings the bass out in your face. Some of white, pink, marble splatter, marble. I can't say that, but marble splatter vinyl. Looks great. I love this record. It was really good, and I'm gonna needle drop this. So check out the last, the next video. What I can tell you is that you have amplified alto saxophone, amplified tenor saxophone, a upright bass, and a drum. So that's it. And that was about $10, so half price. And this was also like $9 or $8, something like that. Same guys, almost. Nacka Forum, they are called with Leve Nacka Forum. And I think this is limited as well, but I'm not super sure. It's on black vinyl, nothing fancy about it. This is a live record, more avant-garde, free jazz. Yeah, I think I can say that it's like free jazz. And I have like a little bit of a problem with this kind of jazz. I'm still learning to understand it and like it. And there's parts of it that's really good. But Kullrusk that I showed you and Svenska Kaputt, I understand immediately. But this is harder to get. I'll needle drop this as well, because I think there's people out there that really would appreciate this one. And on this one you have Jonas Kullhammar also on saxophone, I think, and Goran Kaifes that I showed you in the last video, and Johan Bertling from Fire Orchestra playing bass on this. Oh, yeah, good couple of musicians. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this one is cool. If you're a Swedish person, you understand this one. But listen here. I got this on Swedish Craigslist. And when you buy records on Swedish Craigslist, you buy them either in 200 or 500 or whole collections, that kind of stuff. You never buy separate records, but I did. I got this for $12, and that's a steal. This is Kent, and Kent is a blend between Depeche Mode and Coldplay. Let's say that. A Swedish group, and this is from 2005. At the time period where I really like Kent. This one or before that, they were really good. So industrial pop. Now, Kent is really collectible on vinyl. This was released in 1,500 copies and it sold out quite, directly. And if you look this up, it's been selling for everything between like $50 up to $180, depending on the quality of the vinyl, of course. So for $12, and I can flip this for maybe $80 or something like that. That's kind of cool. But the recording quality is awesome. If you like Kent, you have to listen to their records, their vinyl records. It sounds terrific. So maybe the buy of the year, value-wise, maybe. So the next one is kind of cool. I got this for $7 and I was happy. And then came home, put it on the record player, and it sucked. It was really beat up, and I didn't read the description right. I know, my fault, not the seller's fault, my fault. I bought Jazz Ballet Rytmer with Melvin Price. So what this is two jazz musicians. You have Melvin there on percussion, and a stand-up bass here. His name is Lennart Sandsjö. And these two guys were in a band called GL Unit. The record is called Orangutan. It looks like this, and you've seen it before. I showed it a couple of months ago. I got it. What was interesting about this is two musicians doing a soundtrack or a project about doing the best soundtrack to ballet. Ballet? I think that's the word, ballet. So it was a project where they talked with ballet people of doing what kind of rhythms do you need, blah blah blah. And that the result was 4 songs, 2 on each side. And this is cool, but it's too sparse for my taste. I'm a fusion guy, so 2 instruments, it's not my kind of bag. But yeah, I bet there's a lot of you people out there who would really enjoy this record. So I'm gonna needle drop it, excuse the pops and scratches. Yeah, I'm sorry, but maybe you see something that you like in here, or here's something you like. Okay, the next one was kind of cool because I went to a thrift store, an antique store in my town, and I always find something in there, So today or yesterday or whenever it was, I came out with these 2 records. So this is a series that Tore Svanerud did 1985 on Dragon Records, Stardust, and the other one is called More Than You Know. 2 LP set, or 2 LPs, but series, volume 1 and 2, or something like that. That says that in the liner notes, okay? But the thing is, I didn't know about Tore, but I know about some of the musicians. Red Mitchell, Putte Wickman, Bernt Rosengren, Pelle Hultén and Rune Karlsson, and James Moody I know about. So I was curious for $3 to know how this sounded like. And it's pretty cool, it's pretty good. First of all, this is a promotional copy, 1986, and on a label called Dragon. I really enjoy these 2. It's like more... Okay, this is from me, but classic jazz. Let's say that. Classic jazz. He's a pianist, really good piano work. You have Bernt Rosengren on tenor sax on 2 songs on this one, where he and the piano is working it, and another saxophone, I think, working it really good. I'm gonna needle drop one song that I choose from these 2, just to let you know what it is. But for $3, music-wise it was good. And in the same store, also a killer find. I was surprised when I came home. $3. I gave $3 for this. I recognized the name because he has played with a lot of Swedish musicians. So I bought it. When I came home, I looked up, and it's been selling for quite some dollars, like 20, 30, 40, all the way up to $100 for this record, and I gave $3 for this. And this, a lot of you VC people will dig the hell out of this. I can see a lot of people. Chris Basket, Fred, Coltrane, 68, you will love this. Prog and Jazzman and Derek, you will love this record. Drummer of 2 Worlds with OK Tamis. And he's been on a lot of Swedish in Swedish groups like Sevda and Orient Express, I think they're called. Orient Wind. Okay, and I think some classic Swedish jazz, maybe some prog, I'm not sure. I recognize the name at least. This is like world music, Eastern Europe melodies blended with stone cold fusion. Awesome. I will needle drop this. I will do that first. This is the first one I will needle drop because you need to listen to this. Highly recommend it. Get it. Okay, so music-wise, we now arrive to the best record in the pile, in my opinion, you know, because I wanted this for so long, and finally I just, you know, bought it. Because that's what it is. I bought it. It's there. You can buy it. I bought Farväl Falkenberg, the soundtrack to the movie. And I talked about this the last time. I never thought I would get it because this is a Swedish soundtrack to a Swedish movie, but the vinyl was only released in the States. And it's ordinary black vinyl, so I won't show you that, but it comes with a limited 7-inch on this kind of a green marble splatter kind of vinyl. I think it's hard for you to see that. And a download code. Now, if you remember the last time, my last video, I bought a record with this artist, Erik Enoksson, called Apan. That was the soundtrack to a new movie with the same guy who did this one. This movie. But this was the debut movie and the debut soundtrack for this guy who did the soundtrack. And just as the same Apan, the record, this one is ambient, droney kind of soundtrack music in the same vein as Tangerine Dream. Even more doomier, and you have some choirs in there. I have to needle drop this for you, and you have to listen to this because this is so highly recommended. It's insane. It's just, it's so good. I can't describe it in words. So please listen to this in my next video that's coming up. And I think that one is limited to 999 copies, but I'm not super sure. Okay, the next record is going to be a little bit tricky because I don't know how to describe this. I don't know how to like educate you on this record and the importance of this record, but I'm gonna give it a try, so bear with me now. Okay, the next record is, for me, a really big Swedish prog gem, or grail. And gem. To understand this, we have to go back to the roots of Swedish progressive music. Now, when we talk about Swedish progressive music, we have to talk about 3 different progressive movements that were all being at the same time. Not 1, but 3. You have the folk, political progressive folk movement. Not period, movement. Where people doing folk music like Bob Dylan, John Baez, you know, that kind of stuff, just ripping them off. Really, ripping them off. But they were doing it in Swedish. The second movement, and the most interesting movement of them all, is the more natural progressive movement where you have school musicians doing long jazz, rock, instrumental pieces, you know. The ones that we love. Fläsket brinner, Kebnekaise, Costa Petria, Egba, those kind of bands. And that's, in my opinion, that's the most interesting progressive music, the Swedish progressive music. Okay, and then you have the third movement. And this is the most trickiest one and the most uninteresting one because there were groups that just wanted to play, you know. Doesn't matter how you play, just as long as you play. More of a carefree, punkish kind of attitude to the music. Punk long before punk existed. And these bands we hate, or I hate at least in Sweden, because they couldn't sing, they couldn't perform, you know, nonsense. But in this time period, in 1972, there was one record, I guess, that really stood out as maybe a project that wanted to ridiculate, if that's even a word, this kind of movement, but has stood as one of the most important Swedish prog records just because what it did to the music industry. And the record I'm talking about is Filmerator and the Dung. A rare Swedish gem of a record on the famous Silence label. So the story goes, and I'm not super sure about this, but the story goes that you can hear that there's 2 musicians on here. Silence got a tape of a record or songs on their desk. They had no idea about who recorded this kind of songs, and it sounded weird. So they didn't find out who they were, and they released it anyway. So you have two people playing on this one. One or both are singing, playing on like kitchen equipment and stuff like that. Ridiculous. But the texts are so nonsense that it's good. This record even won a Grammy Award, a Swedish Grammy Award that year that it was released. No one could claim it, and the music industry was so pissed off that this one could get a prize, such a high acclaimed prize as the Grammy Award, that they didn't put out a prize in 5 years after this one. So that's why I wanted it in my collection, because it's that important, that kind of record. And I'm gonna needle drop this. You're gonna listen for yourself, but it's nonsense. You won't understand what you're hearing, and even if you're Swedish, you won't understand what you're hearing. But it's tunes that we're grown to love, or we loved, or we hated, you know, and super important. Super important. I'm so glad that I have this in my collection. One of the best progressive Swedish albums ever recorded. In the third movement. Okay, so in the same store the antique store that I bought, that I buy stuff for $3, I found this today, and I was blown away because you never find these kind of records here in my town. Today I found Frank Foster, Manhattan Fever. I jumped on this right away. That's the backside. I bought this because you never find the original US press 1968 Blue Note at all, and especially not for $3. The vinyl is in almost mint condition. It's really good, you know, VG+++++, and you had some ring wear on the cover there, but other than that, it's in really fine condition for $3. $3. I was surprised because I had no expectations of this at all, but it's really good. So this is why I collect vinyl. You know, you can find 1968 Blue Notes in antique stores in Halmstad, Sweden, and those days are just good days for record hunting. And the last one, finally, if you stay with me this long, you're a hero. I have to thank Miko for this one. I saw on the Facebook page that he had jumped on like an offer or something wrong with the page. I don't know what it was, but I saw that he jumped on it. So a week later when he got it, I looked it up. It was still there, a little bit more expensive than he bought it for, but still very good price. I bought the Smashing Pumpkins with Melancholy and Infinite Sadness box set, and I paid with shipping €40, so 50 bucks maybe, something like that. Approximately with shipping half price, a little less than half price. Is that the right word? So everyone who has this record has already shown it, so I won't show everything of it. But you have 4 LP sets in these kind of covers with inner sleeves, printed inner sleeves. But they did it like this. They put the records in separate inner sleeves, protective inner sleeves. I love that kind of stuff. They really thought about this one, you know. And I don't have to tell you about the music, you know. It's a classic 90s record. Here's the book for the lyrics, with small graphics, high quality paper, it's like a little bit, and the booklet with interviews, thoughts about the recording, and a little bit of each song, a story about each song with big photos and stuff like that. They almost did everything right with this box set, you know. High quality, awesome release. The pressing, I've heard some stories about the pressing. It's not perfect. There's a little bit, some distortion on some parts of some tracks. But overall, I'm super glad, and for that price, you know. And a small, fast story for you all. When I got it, I had to pay customs for it. €15 custom. And I was so bummed out because now we got jacked the price up, you know. So I paid that, I got the record, but I thought like, I'm gonna give Canadian Amazon an email just to see if I can get the money back. So I wrote them, said that I had to pay extra shipping. You know, I had to pay extra shipping for the record. Is that correct? You know, I you know, yeah, just like that. I did just like that. And they said, no, you didn't have to pay extra shipping. Every country has its own custom rules, blah, blah, blah. So they saw my bluff, you know, of course. But they said, we're going to do a thingy this time and only this time. So we will give you the money back for what you paid for the custom. And a couple of hours later, I had the 15 euro and some back on my account. So super. So still 40 euros for order and shipping for this record, but otherwise it would be 55 euros, and that would be more than, you know, I wanted to pay for it. Yeah, and the most amazing was I picked the longest shipping just because I wanted the shipping price to be down. And this, from the day I ordered it, and that was Thursday. It took from it took 5 days to get to Sweden. 5 days from ordering it. It took 4 days from when they shipped it. This was over the weekend. So I was just blown away. I thought that it would take like at least 3 weeks before it would come, but yeah. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. A huge pile there. Watch my next video if you're interested in needle drops. And I've been seeing a lot of videos and being a lot on the Facebook page, vibing with the VC. This is a great community. I love it. Big part of my life. Have a great day. Bye.